I was carrying 2 laptops and a thick portfolio when Denise stormed out of her office. Her heels clicked against the marble floor like gunshots. Everyone in the hallway froze. "Camille, where are my son's cupcakes?" Her voice echoed through the consulting firm's pristine corridors. "I told you to pick them up from Sweet Dreams Bakery." I stopped walking and turned to face her. My heart pounded, but I kept my voice steady. "I'm not your assistant, Denise. I'm your project lead." The words hung in the air like smoke. Denise's face turned red. She stepped closer, close enough that I could smell her expensive perfume mixed with coffee breath. "What did you just say to me?" I said, "I'm not your personal assistant. I have actual work to do." The slap came so fast I didn't see it coming. The sound cracked through the hallway like a whip. My cheek burned. Gasps rippled through the small crowd that had gathered. I touched my face, shocked. In my peripheral vision, I noticed someone unexpected, a quiet older man in a gray cardigan, standing by the elevator. He was watching everything with sharp eyes. Then he slipped away silently, like he was never there. 6 months earlier, I had been thrilled to join JT and Associates. I had just landed them a huge contract with a pharmaceutical company. The partners were impressed. They hired me as a senior project coordinator with promises of quick advancement. Denise Halver was my supervisor. On my first day, she seemed warm and welcoming. She took me to lunch at an expensive restaurant and talked about mentorship and growth opportunities. "I see so much potential in you," she said, cutting her salmon delicately. "Stick with me, and you'll go far here." For the first month, everything was perfect. I handled major client presentations, managed complex timelines, and exceeded every expectation. Then something shifted. It started small. "Camille, could you grab my dry cleaning? You pass that street anyway." Then it escalated. "My yoga instructor needs to reschedule. Can you call her?" Soon I was booking her hair appointments, buying gifts for her relatives, and running errands that had nothing to do with work. At first, I did it. I wanted to stay in her good graces. I thought it was temporary. I was wrong. 20 minutes after the slap, my desk phone rang. It was Eli from HR. "Camille, we need you to come down immediately. There's been a report filed against you." My stomach dropped. I walked to HR feeling like I was walking to my execution. Eli looked uncomfortable as I sat across from her desk. "There's been an allegation that you acted aggressively toward Denise Halver. She says you yelled at her and made threatening gestures." I blinked in disbelief. "That's not what happened." She's provided a detailed account. According to her report, you became hostile when she asked you to help with a simple task. She asked me to pick up cupcakes for her son. When I refused, she slapped me. There were witnesses. Eli shifted in her chair. "Denise mentioned you've been insubordinate for weeks. She says this outburst was the final straw." "What about the slap?" "There's no mention of physical contact in her report." I felt the walls closing in. "So you're taking her word over mine? We're conducting a fair investigation. Until then, you're on unpaid leave." As I cleaned out my desk, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I saw what really happened. She's lying. I spent the evening trying to figure out who texted me. The next morning, I drove back to the office building. I needed to understand what I was dealing with. I waited in the lobby, watching people come and go. Around 10 o'clock, I approached Marcus, the friendly janitor who always said hello. "Marcus, yesterday there was an older man in a gray cardigan on our floor. Do you know who that might be?" His eyes widened slightly. "Gray cardigan? Tall guy, maybe 70s? Yes, that sounds right." Marcus glanced around nervously, then leaned closer. "That's Mr. Thorp, Graham Thorp. The name didn't mean anything to me. Does he work here?" "Not exactly." Marcus paused, choosing his words carefully. "He's one of the guys who started this place back in the day, retired now, but he still owns most of it. Shows up maybe once a month, just walking around, watching things." My pulse quickened. "Watching things?" "Yeah, people don't usually notice him. He keeps quiet, observes how the company's running. Word is he's not always happy with what he sees." I thanked Marcus and walked back to my car, my mind racing. The co-founder witnessed Denise slap me, but would he do anything about it? That night, I spent hours crafting a letter. I kept it simple and respectful. I wasn't asking for help, just confirmation of what he saw. "Dear Mr. Thorp, I believe you may have witnessed an incident yesterday involving myself and Denise Halver. I'm currently under investigation and wanted to know if you saw what happened. Respectfully, Camille Rivers. I found his address through public records and mailed it the next morning. I didn't expect a response. 2 days later, my phone rang. Unknown number. Miss Rivers? This is Graham Thorp. My heart nearly stopped. Mr. Thorp, thank you for calling. I got your letter. Very professional approach. His voice was calm, measured. I want you to know, I saw the whole thing. You did nothing wrong. Relief flooded through me. Thank you. I wasn't sure if that woman struck you for refusing to run personal errands. That's not leadership. That's abuse of power. What should I do? Be patient. Sometimes the best revenge is letting people hang themselves with their own rope. The line went quiet for a moment. I've been watching this company drift away from its values. Yesterday was the final straw. He hung up, leaving me with more questions than answers. I started thinking back to when Denise's attitude toward me changed. It wasn't random. It happened right after the Meridian Industries presentation. I had worked for 3 weeks preparing a proposal for their pharmaceutical account. The presentation went perfectly. The clients loved my strategy. Mr. Patterson, one of the senior partners, pulled me aside afterward. Exceptional work, Camille. This is exactly the kind of thinking we need more of. I was glowing with pride, until I saw Denise's face. That night, she asked me to stay late to discuss my role moving forward. I thought she was going to congratulate me, or maybe offer a promotion. Instead, she said, "You need to understand something about this company. We work as a team. No one person gets to be the star." The next day, she asked me to pick up her lunch, then her dry cleaning, then to call her car dealer about an oil change. It hit me then. Denise wasn't just being difficult. She was trying to humiliate me. She was afraid I was being groomed to replace her, so she started treating me like a servant to put me in my place. The realization made my anger burn hotter. This was calculated. A week passed. Then Marcus texted me. "Mr. Thorp is here?" Heading to Denise's office. I wished I could be a fly on the wall for that conversation. Later, through the intern who texted me, Jenny, I learned what happened. Mr. Thorp knocked on Denise's door and introduced himself casually. He said he was doing informal check-ins with department heads. "I've heard some concerning things about staff morale," he told her, "particularly regarding Camille Rivers. I understand there were some performance issues." Denise jumped at the chance to trash me. She painted me as insubordinate, unprofessional, and disruptive to team harmony. "She has anger management problems," Denise said confidently. "I've been documenting everything." What Denise didn't know was that Mr. Thorp was recording the entire conversation on his phone. Every lie, every exaggeration, every character assassination, all captured in her own voice. "Interesting," he said, when she finished. "Thank you for your time." As he left, Denise probably felt victorious. She had no idea the harm she had just caused herself. Jenny's text ended with, "He looked really angry when he walked out." The next Monday, every department head received an email with an unusual subject line, "Culture erosion from the top down, a founder's perspective." Jenny forwarded it to me. I read it 3 times. To the leadership team, after 30 years building this company, I've returned to find concerning trends in our corporate culture. Leadership should inspire excellence, not demand servitude. When managers confuse authority with dominance, we fail our mission and our people. Effective immediately, I'm requesting a full review of all disciplinary actions taken in the last 6 months. I'm also implementing quarterly culture assessments for all departments. We built this company on respect and merit. Let's remember that. Graham Thorp, co-founder and majority shareholder. At the bottom there was a small note, CC, Camille Rivers. I stared at that line. He CC'd me on an email to the entire leadership team. The message was clear. I wasn't going anywhere, and he was watching. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Check your email." It was from Mr. Thorp's assistant. "Mr. Thorp would like to schedule a meeting at your convenience." Things were about to get interesting. The meeting was set for Thursday, but Wednesday afternoon, I got an unexpected visitor. Robert Patterson, one of the senior partners, asked me to meet him at a coffee shop near the office. He looked nervous as he stirred his espresso. "Camille, I need to tell you something about Denise. This isn't the first time." My pulse quickened. "What do you mean?" 5 years ago, I worked with her at Fletcher and Associates. There was a talented young woman there, Eli Clark. Brilliant analyst, great with clients. Denise was her supervisor. He paused, choosing his words carefully. Eli started getting recognition from the partners. Client feedback was outstanding. Then strange things started happening. Her work got questioned. Her professionalism was called into doubt. Denise painted her as difficult to work with. What happened to Eli? She was pushed out. Denise made her life so miserable that she eventually quit. Robert looked directly at me. 2 years later, Eli won a wrongful termination lawsuit. It turned out Denise had been sabotaging her work and creating a hostile environment. The coffee shop suddenly felt too small. Why are you telling me this? Because when I heard about your situation, it felt familiar. Too familiar. He slid a business card across the table. That's Eli's contact information. She's a partner at a competing firm now. She might be willing to talk. Friday morning, I got a call from Lisa in HR. We had worked together on several projects, and I once helped her daughter with a college application. Camille, I shouldn't be telling you this, she whispered into the phone. But Denise is pushing hard to get your file flagged as problematic employee. If that happens, it could follow you to other firms. My blood ran cold. Based on what? She's saying you have a pattern of insubordination and workplace aggression. She wants it noted that you're unsuitable for client-facing roles. This was worse than I thought. Denise wasn't just trying to get me fired. She was trying to destroy my career entirely. What can I do? Document everything and pray someone upstairs is paying attention. An hour later, my phone rang. It was Mr. Thorp's assistant again. Mr. Thorp would like to review your personnel file. He's requesting it from HR today. I almost laughed. While Denise was working to poison my file, the company's founder was demanding to see it. Let's see how her lies would hold up under scrutiny. That afternoon, Jenny texted me. HR just delivered a thick folder to Mr. Thorp's temporary office. He's been reading it for 2 hours. Over the weekend, I compiled everything. Every email, every performance review, every piece of documentation from my time at JT and Associates. My record was spotless until Denise's recent complaints. I drafted a simple email to the board of directors. Dear board members, I have been accused of workplace aggression and insubordination. Please find attached my complete performance record for your review. You'll notice 5 consecutive excellent reviews, client testimonials, and documented project successes. I'm also attaching a list of tasks outside my job description that I was repeatedly asked to perform, including personal errands for my supervisor. I believe in transparency and look forward to a fair resolution. Respectfully, Camille Rivers. I attached everything: performance reviews, client emails, even a detailed log of every personal errand Denise asked me to do, with dates and times. I sent it Monday morning and copied Mr. Thorp. Within an hour, I got a response from board member Helen Morrison. Thank you for this comprehensive documentation. We take these matters seriously. 2 hours later, Jenny texted, emergency meeting in the conference room. Denise just got called upstairs. The wheels were in motion. Wednesday afternoon, I got the call I had been waiting for. Miss Rivers, this is Graham Thorp. Could you come in tomorrow at 2 o'clock? The board would like to speak with you. My hands shook as I dressed for the meeting. I chose a simple navy suit and practiced staying calm. The boardroom was intimidating, all glass and polished wood. Mr. Gore, Thorp sat at the head of the table. Denise was already there, looking confident but alert. Thank you for coming, Camille, Mr. Thorp said. We'd like you to walk us through the events of last Tuesday. I told my story simply and clearly. No emotion, just facts. Denise's face got redder with each detail. When I finished, Mr. Thorp nodded to someone behind me. A screen descended from the ceiling. We have security footage from the hallway camera, he said. The video showed everything. Denise storming out, our conversation, and then, clear as day, her hand striking my face. The sound didn't carry, but the visual was undeniable. Denise went pale. That camera hasn't worked in months, she whispered. We had it repaired 2 weeks ago, Mr. Thorp replied calmly. Interesting that you knew it was broken. The room fell silent. The board placed Denise on immediate temporary leave pending a full investigation. They offered me my position back with a raise and a formal apology. But I surprised them. I appreciate the offer, but I need to see how you handle this situation before I decide about my future here. Mr. Thorp raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? You've seen who Denise is. Now show me who you are. The room was quiet. Finally, Helen Morrison spoke. What would it take to restore your confidence in this company? A real commitment to cultural change, not just policies on paper, but actual accountability. And I want to help build that. What are you proposing? Let me consult on culture rebuilding. I'll work with leadership, review policies, and help create an environment where this never happens again. They agreed to my terms. I would return as a consultant with a mandate to assess and improve company culture. It was more power than I had ever had, and exactly what this place needed. As we left the boardroom, Mr. Thorp pulled me aside. Smart move. Always negotiate from strength. My first day back as a consultant, I noticed the difference immediately. People looked at me with respect instead of pity. Denise's office was empty, her nameplate already removed. I started with individual interviews. One by one, employees shared their experiences. The stories were eye-opening. Marcus told me about managers who barely acknowledged support staff. Jenny described being yelled at for asking questions. Tom from accounting mentioned feeling invisible despite handling millions in client funds. But it was Amanda, a junior associate, who provided the most damning evidence. Last month, I was in Denise's office when you called, she said quietly. After she hung up, she said, "That peasant with a pretty resume thinks she can challenge me." Did you document that? Amanda nodded nervously and pulled out her phone. I was so shocked that I made a voice memo about it afterward. I thought about reporting it, but I was scared. She played the recording. Her own voice, shaky with emotion, recounting Denise's exact words and the context. Would you be willing to share this with the board? If it helps, yes. I was building a case that went far beyond one slap. This was about a pattern of toxic leadership that had been poisoning the entire workplace. By Friday, I had interviewed 37 employees across all departments. The patterns were clear and disturbing. I designed an anonymous cultural assessment survey. The questions were carefully crafted to identify toxic behaviors without being leading. The results came back the following week. Every department showed concerning trends, but one stood out as dramatically worse than the rest: Denise's department. Employee satisfaction, 2.1 out of 10. Trust in leadership, 1.8 out of 10. Likelihood to recommend company as employer, 1.3 out of 10. The comments were devastating. My supervisor treats me like a servant. I'm afraid to speak up about anything. Leadership here confuses fear with respect. I'm looking for another job. When I presented these findings to the board, the silence was deafening. How did we not know? Helen asked. Because the people suffering had no safe way to report it, I replied. And the people causing it were good at managing up while terrorizing down. Mr. Thorp leaned forward. What's your recommendation? Zero tolerance for abuse of power, clear reporting channels, and leadership training that focuses on emotional intelligence, not just business metrics. They approved all my recommendations unanimously. The legal department sent Denise a formal notification. She had two choices: resign quietly with a severance package or face a formal disciplinary hearing that could result in termination for cause. She chose to fight. The hearing was scheduled for the following Friday. I was asked to testify, along with Amanda, Jenny, and 3 other employees who experienced or witnessed inappropriate behavior. But Denise wasn't going down without a fight. 2 days before the hearing, she filed a counter-complaint alleging that I had been colluding with Mr. Thorp to orchestrate her downfall. Her lawyer argued that my relationship with the co-founder represented a conflict of interest and that my testimony should be dismissed. It was a desperate move, but it could work if I couldn't prove my integrity. That's when I remembered my documentation. Every personal errand, every inappropriate request, every boundary she crossed, all recorded with dates, times, and witnesses. I compiled a timeline that spanned 6 months. March 15, asked to pick up dry cleaning. March 22, asked to schedule personal yoga session. April 3, asked to buy gift for her mother's birthday. April 18, asked to wait for furniture delivery at her house. 27 personal errands total, all outside my job description. Let her explain that away. The hearing took place in the largest conference room. A 3-person panel included an outside employment lawyer, Helen Morrison, and Mr. Thorp. Denise arrived with her attorney, looking defiant. She was wearing her most expensive suit and carrying herself like she was the victim. I testified first, keeping my voice steady and factual. I presented my timeline of inappropriate requests, my documentation of professional accomplishments, and the recording Amanda made. Miss Rivers, Denise's lawyer, said during cross-examination, "Isn't it true that you've been working with Mr. Thorp to target my client?" "No. Mr. Thorp contacted me after witnessing your client strike me. Our professional relationship began after that incident." "But you admit you've been collecting evidence against her?" "I've been documenting inappropriate behavior because I suspected it might escalate." I was right. When Denise took the stand, she stuck to her story. I was insubordinate, aggressive, and unprofessional. The slap was defensive because she felt threatened. But when they played the security footage again, her story fell apart. The video clearly showed her as the aggressor. The panel deliberated for 30 minutes. When they returned, their decision was unanimous. "Miss Halver, your employment with JT and Associates is terminated effective immediately." Denise cleared out her office under security escort. She didn't look at me as she passed my temporary workspace, but I could feel her anger radiating like heat. The next morning, Mr. Thorp called me into his office. "The board is impressed with your consulting work. We'd like to offer you a permanent position, partner track with equity participation." It was everything I had dreamed of when I first started there, but I had a different idea. "I appreciate the offer, but I'd like to propose something else." "I'm listening." "Create a new department, Human Culture and Development. Focus on leadership training, conflict resolution, and creating systems that prevent toxic behavior before it starts." Mr. Thorp leaned back in his chair. "You want to be the director of this new department?" "I want to build something that ensures what happened to me never happens to anyone else here." He smiled, the first genuine smile I had seen from him. "Done. When can you start?" My new office was down the hall from where Denise used to work. The irony wasn't lost on me. My first initiative was implementing one-on-one meetings with every new hire. I wanted to hear their concerns before they became problems. During my third week, I was meeting with Rebecca, a young marketing coordinator. She seemed nervous, fidgeting with her pen. "Is there something specific you'd like to discuss?" I asked. She hesitated, then said, "When I applied here, Denise Halver interviewed me for a different position. She told me the company wasn't looking for soft types and that I should consider other firms." My blood ran cold. "When was this?" 6 months ago. I applied anyway because I really wanted to work here. But her comments stuck with me. 6 months ago, right around when Denise was feeling threatened by my success, she had been actively trying to keep talented women away from the company. "Thank you for telling me," I said. "That behavior was completely inappropriate and not representative of our values. I know that now." But how many other people were discouraged from applying? It was a good question, one that made me realize our culture problems had run deeper than I thought. A month later, I was reviewing exit interview data when I noticed a disturbing pattern. Over the past 2 years, 15 high-performing women had left the company. Most cited poor cultural fit or limited growth opportunities. I cross-referenced the dates with Denise's tenure as department head. The correlation was unmistakable. When I presented this data to the board, Mr. Thorp looked genuinely pained. "How much talent did we lose because of one person's insecurity?" he asked. 15 confirmed departures, probably more who didn't apply in the first place. "What's the financial impact?" I had done the math. Recruitment costs, training investments, lost productivity, and missed opportunities, approximately $2.3 million over 2 years. The room fell silent. "Moving forward," I continued, "I recommend we reach out to these former employees. Some might be interested in returning under new leadership." Helen nodded. "Make it happen." Within weeks, 3 former employees returned. 2 others accepted consulting contracts. The brain drain Denise created was slowly being reversed. But the real victory wasn't the returning talent, it was the message we were sending. JT and Associates was serious about change. 6 months into my new role, I had transformed how the company operated. We had clear reporting channels, mandatory leadership training, and regular culture assessments. The results spoke for themselves. Employee satisfaction was up 40%. Turnover was down 60%. Client feedback mentioned our positive energy and collaborative spirit. But today was special. Today, the board voted on partnership promotions. I was standing in the same conference room where I had testified against Denise, but this time, I was there to claim my future. Camille Rivers, Mr. Thorp announced, for exceptional leadership in cultural transformation and significant contribution to company growth. The board unanimously approves your promotion to partner. The room erupted in applause. Through the glass wall, I could see employees gathered in the hallway, cheering. Later, as I was updating my LinkedIn profile, I got a text from an unknown number. "Congratulations on your promotion. You deserve it. Eli Chen." Robert Patterson had given her my number. The woman Denise had driven out of her previous job was celebrating my victory. It felt like the circle was complete. For my partnership ceremony, I invited my mother. She took time off work and flew in from Ohio. As we walked into the office building together, she squeezed my hand. "Remember when you called me crying after that woman slapped you?" she said. "You said you'd never be someone's assistant again." "I remember. Look at you now." The ceremony was simple but meaningful. My name went on the wall alongside the other partners. Camille Rivers, Partner, Human Culture and Development. During my speech, I thanked Mr. Thorp for believing in accountability. I thanked my colleagues for supporting change, and I thanked Denise, without naming her, for teaching me the importance of standing up for what was right. Sometimes, I said, the worst behavior reveals the best opportunities. This company didn't just give me a second chance, it gave me a chance to build something better. After the ceremony, Mr. Thorp pulled me aside. "I have something for you," he said, handing me an envelope. Inside was a legal document. I scanned it quickly, then read it again more slowly. "You're giving me shares in the company? 10%, to be fully vested when you made partner." He smiled. "I told you I'd been watching this place drift from its values. You helped bring it back." That evening, I was in my new office, twice the size of my old one, with windows overlooking the city. I was reviewing applications for my expanding department when I noticed something. A handwritten note at the bottom of one resume. "Miss Rivers, I heard about the cultural changes at JT and Associates. As someone who experienced workplace bullying at my last job, I'd love to be part of building a better environment." It was from Maria Santos, a recent MBA graduate with impressive credentials. But it was her personal note that caught my attention. I called her the next day and learned her story. Her previous supervisor had been demanding and demeaning, forcing her to quit without another job lined up. "I believe in second chances," I told her during the interview, "for companies and for people." I hired her as my first departmental coordinator. On her first day, she told me something that made my heart full. "My little sister is starting her career next year. I want to be able to tell her that there are places where hard work matters more than office politics." "You can tell her that now," I replied. Maria became an incredible asset, bringing fresh ideas and passionate advocacy for fair treatment. 1 year after my promotion, JT and Associates won 3 industry awards for workplace excellence. We were featured in a business magazine article titled "Culture Revolution: How One Company Turned Toxic Leadership into Transformational Change." The article didn't mention Denise by name, but it told our story. How documenting inappropriate behavior and standing up to abuse led to systematic improvements. I got emails from professionals across the country sharing their own stories and asking for advice. Some were dealing with difficult supervisors, others were trying to implement cultural changes at their own companies. One email stood out. It was from a young woman in Seattle. "Ms. Rivers, I read about your experience and wanted you to know that it gave me courage to report my supervisor's inappropriate behavior. I documented everything, just like you did. Today, HR took action. Thank you for showing that standing up for yourself can lead to positive change." These messages reminded me why this work mattered. It wasn't just about one company or one bad supervisor. It was about changing how we treated each other in professional environments. That morning, I had walked past the lobby and stopped at our new company mission statement, framed in elegant lettering, "You've seen who she is, now show me who you are." Those were my words, from the email I sent to the board during my darkest moment. Now they guided our entire organization. Mr. Thorp had insisted on making them our official motto. It captures something essential, he said. Character is revealed in how we respond to others' character. That day, I was interviewing candidates for a new position, Director of Conflict Resolution. It was a role that wouldn't have existed 2 years earlier. Now it was essential to our mission. My phone buzzed with a text from Jenny, who is now my assistant. The new hire orientation starts in 10 minutes. Ready to change more lives? I gathered my materials and headed to the conference room. 15 new employees were waiting, representing different departments and experience levels. Welcome to JT and Associates, I began. Before we talk about policies and procedures, I want you to know something important. This company believes that how we treat each other matters as much as the work we produce. I looked around the room at eager faces, people starting new chapters, trusting us with their careers. If you ever feel disrespected or mistreated, you have multiple ways to report it. We take every complaint seriously, and we believe that everyone deserves to work with dignity. A young man raised his hand. What if the problem is with a supervisor? I smiled, remembering my own fear and uncertainty. Then you document it, report it, and trust that we'll do the right thing. Because that's who we are now. As I continued the orientation, I thought about Denise. I didn't know where she was or what she was doing. I hoped she had learned from what happened. I hoped she was treating people better. But mostly, I was focused on the future we had built. One conversation, one policy, one person at a time. The slap that was meant to humiliate me had become the catalyst for transformation. Sometimes the worst moments created the best opportunities. And that was exactly who we had become.